In this world where everyone can awaken a summon, all kinds of summons fill the city. I thought that as a transmigrator, I would awaken an SS rank summon, but instead, I got the worst possible start. I was born in the slums, carried a debt of 3 million, and awakened an F rank Mosquito summon. In the North City slums, deep inside a dead-end alley, I was kicked away like a broken sack. The dull sound of my body hitting the wall was covered by the thunder. My back slammed hard against the moss-covered wall, and an intense pain exploded through my body. I didn't even have the strength to scream. I could only open my mouth and make a harsh wheezing sound like a broken bellows. Pay the money back, or swallow that dead egg. The one speaking was a bald, muscular man. He held a solid alloy baseball bat, and blood was still dripping from its tip. Behind him stood a half-man-tall D-rank summon, the Ironhide Wild Boar. It pawed at the ground while its small red eyes stared at them, like curled up on the ground. This man was Zhao Hu, the top thug of the underground moneylenders in North City. And I was just an 18-year-old orphan, carrying a debt of 3 million in loan sharks' money, and known as the weakest student in the entire school. Talk. Zhao Hu stepped forward and stomped on my wrist, grinding it hard. Today is the day of your awakening, right? The whole city is talking about it. Young Master Wang waited on the awakening platform for half an hour, and in the end, the egg that should have hatched your summon didn't react at all. It was even declared a dead egg. I lay in the mud, biting my teeth tightly without saying a word. My eyes remained fixed on Zhao Hu's throat. That look again. I hate that look the most. Zhao Hu became furious and raised the alloy bat. Since you have no money and the egg is useless, your life isn't worth much either. Maybe I can sell your organs on the black market and recover a little money. The Ironhide Wild Boar seemed to sense its master's killing intent. It let out an excited roar and lowered its head to charge at me. At that exact moment, the gray stone egg in my clothes slipped out. Zhao Hu swung the bat, intending to smash my knee, but it instead grazed my forehead and tore away a large piece of flesh. Bright red blood dripped onto the gray stone egg. The blood didn't slide off. Instead, it was absorbed instantly, like water sinking into a sponge. High compatibility genetic sample detected. Host's life signs are critical. Forced activation program initiated. A cold, mechanical voice suddenly exploded in the depths of my fading consciousness. I widened my eyes. The dead egg lying in the mud suddenly emitted an eerie crimson light. Zhao Hu didn't notice the change. He grinned and ordered the boar, saying, "Pierce his stomach." The Ironhide Wild Boar roared and charged. Its sharp tusks were less than half a meter away from my abdomen. At that moment, the stone egg completely shattered. There was no dazzling beam of light. No divine beast descended from the heavens. Only a tiny, black and red creature, no larger than a fingernail, silently flew out while flapping its wings. It was a mosquito. A skinny, undernourished-looking mosquito. System activation successful. Zerg Overlord system bound. Initial unit, F-rank bloodthirsty mosquito. Traits, ignores defense, lethal poison. Kill it. I gave my first command in my heart. The tiny mosquito turned into a red streak too fast for the naked eye to follow. It didn't attack the boar's iron-hard skin. Instead, like a miniature guided missile, it flew directly into the boar's completely unguarded ear. The charging Ironhide Wild Boar suddenly froze, its savage eyes instantly filled with fear. It crazily shook its head and let out miserable screams. What happened? Fang, what's wrong with you? Zhao Hu was shocked and tried to calm his summon through their mental connection, but all he received in return was endless pain and the chaos of its brain being stirred apart. In only 3 seconds, the D-rank Ironhide Wild Boar, famous for its defense, bled black blood from its 7 openings. Its massive body crashed to the ground. What did you do? The hand holding Zhao Hu's bat began to tremble. He looked at the corpse in disbelief, and then at me, as I slowly stood up from the mud. What hidden weapon did you use? I let out a cold laugh. I raised my right hand and extended my index finger. The black and red mosquito landed elegantly on my fingertip and gently cleaned its wings. Its name is Ming He, my summon. Zhao Hu's eyes widened as if he had heard the most ridiculous joke in the world, but the corpse in front of him made it impossible to laugh. A mosquito? An F-rank mosquito? Impossible. How can a mosquito break through the Ironhide Boar's defense? Because you're stupid. My voice was hoarse and weak after awakening. Even a divine dragon will die if a needle enters its brain. D-rank creature Ironhide Wild Boar eliminated. Obtained 50 purification points. Host is heavily injured. Recommend replenishing energy immediately. Bloodthirsty mosquito desires fresh blood. I looked at the faintly glowing mosquito on my fingertip. I could clearly feel the hunger it was sending to me. I slowly raised my head and looked at Zhao Hu, who had already stepped back in fear. Since you're here, don't leave yet. My mosquito still isn't full. You lunatic? Zhao Hu finally reacted. Even without his summon, he was still a strong adult, while I was only a heavily injured high school student. He roared and charged at me with his bat. I didn't move at all. I simply snapped my fingers. Zhao Hu's arm froze in midair. He felt a cold sensation on his throat. Then an indescribable numbness spread through his entire body, followed by a suffocating feeling, as if something had blocked his windpipe. The alloy bat fell to the ground. Zhao Hu grabbed his neck with both hands, his eyes bulging. A strange wheezing sound came from his mouth. His muscular body visibly shriveled up. 10 seconds later, Zhao Hu fell to his knees and turned into a dried-up husk. Awakened individual eliminated. Obtained 10 purification points. Warning, current purification points are insufficient to activate mass reproduction mode. Recommendation, continue hunting. I slid down the wall and sat on the ground, breathing heavily. I looked at the mosquito that had returned to my fingertip. Its abdomen had become bright red and transparent. There was no fear in my heart. Instead, I burst into laughter. This was power. The power that didn't require looking at other people's expressions. The power that didn't require begging for mercy. I stretched out my tongue and licked away the rainwater and blood at the corner of my mouth. The madness in my eyes grew stronger. As long as I kill enough, even if I'm using a mosquito, I can make all the dragons and phoenixes in this world kneel before me and call me their ancestor. I struggled to my feet and stepped at the entrance of Tianlan No. 1 Summoner Academy. Luxury cars filled the parking area. Students wearing elegant uniforms stood in groups, each accompanied by their own summons. I got off an old shared bicycle. Yo, isn't this our dead egg genius, Wang Batian? A harsh voice rang out. Several boys wearing expensive combat uniforms surrounded me. The leader was a fat guy with slicked back hair, named Liu Qiang. He was Liao Tian's No. 1 lackey, and had awakened a C-rank mighty demon ape. I heard you awakened nothing yesterday, and ended up hatching heir. Liu Qiang laughed exaggeratedly. The mighty demon ape beside him beat its chest, and let out a threatening roar. The surrounding students stopped to watch, all wearing mocking smiles. I silently locked my bicycle, and didn't even raise my head. Last night's hunt had taught me one thing. In this world, dignity is earned through strength, not given by others. But I couldn't make a move at the school gate. The school rules were strict, and killing someone would attract the law enforcement team. My current strength wasn't enough to fight against the government. Move. I coldly spoke 2 words. Oh, you've got quite a temper. Liu Qiang was angered by my attitude. He waved his hand, and the mighty demon ape stepped forward like a mountain, blocking my path. You want to enter the school? Fine. Crawl under my pet, and I'll pretend I never saw you. The crowd burst into laughter. I stopped and looked up at the giant ape that stood over 2 meters tall. My right hand remained in my pocket, my index finger gently rubbing against itself, a habit whenever I prepared to attack. Ming-He was resting inside my sleeve, and could feel my killing intent. It excitedly rubbed its mouthparts together. Just as I was calculating whether it would take 3 seconds to blind the ape, or 5 seconds to destroy its crystal core, a cold and arrogant voice interrupted. Liu Qiang, move aside. You're dirtying my path. The crowd instantly fell silent. A path automatically opened. A luxurious hovering car slowly stopped nearby. The door opened and a young man stepped out. On his shoulder rested an S-rank beast, the sky-hunting dragon. Liu Qiang immediately put on a flattering expression. Young Master Li, I was just helping you teach this disgrace a lesson. Li Yaotian gently stroked the little dragon on his shoulder. Does a lion care about a stray dog on the roadside? Today is the day of the freshman trial. Don't waste your energy on someone like him. After saying that, he walked past me. Liu Qiang glared at me fiercely. You're lucky. During this afternoon's practical assessment, I'll deal with you in the arena. The crowd dispersed. I stood where I was, and looked at Li Yaotian's back, a cruel smile appearing on my lips. A lion? A stray dog? I hope that when your dragon is sucked dry, you'll still be this proud. Tianlan Academy's back mountain trial area. This place raised a large number of low-level beasts, and was used by new students for combat training and feeding their summons. Normally, students entered in teams under the protection of teachers, but I came alone, avoiding the main road and entering the densest part of the forest. I came here for only one reason: to build an army. The system panel appeared before my eyes. Host, Wang Batian, Summon, Ming-He, Purification Points, 60. Current mission, establish the first Zerg squad. Requirements, 100 purification points and 50 kilograms of low-level flesh. Come out, Ming-He. I stretched out my hand. The black and red mosquito flew out with a buzzing sound and happily circled around me. Go, that's your buffet. I pointed at a wind rabbit eating berries in the grass ahead. For ordinary freshmen, wind rabbits were difficult to catch because they were extremely fast. But under the lock of the mosquito's compound eyes, the rabbit moved as slowly as if it were taking a walk. Buzz, a red flash streaked through the air. The wind rabbit didn't even have time to raise its ears before it felt pain in its neck. Ming-He's strengthened proboscis instantly pierced its skin. Paralyzing poison entered its body. The rabbit immediately became stiff. Half a minute later, the fat rabbit collapsed. Blood of F-rank creature wind rabbit obtained. Purification points +2. Too slow, I frowned. If this continues, how long will it take before I can fight Li Yaotian? The system's voice sounded. Host may consume 50 purification points to unlock individual reproduction. Ming-He will become the mother body and produce the first batch of worker mosquitoes. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I activated the ability without hesitation. Ming-He, lying on the rabbit's corpse, suddenly trembled violently. Its abdomen expanded and squirmed. A few tiny ruby-colored eggs were expelled. The moment they touched the air, they quickly hatched. 10 worker mosquitoes emerged. They were only the size of ordinary flies, but they possessed equally sharp mouthparts. They weren't as powerful as Ming-He, but they made up for it with numbers. I looked at my army of 11 mosquitoes. Soon, 11 became 100. This was no longer just a few insects. It had become a dark cloud that made one's scalp tingle. This was the most terrifying trait of the Zerg. Snowball growth. As long as there was flesh and blood, they would become an endless nightmare. Enough, I looked at the system. The purification points had already reached 500. I stopped the slaughter. For now, the quantity was sufficient. What I needed next was quality. I looked at Ming-He. After constantly feeding and reproducing, its body had grown larger. Sufficient purification points detected. Begin first racial evolution. Evolution path, Blood Emperor pattern. Required material, 1 portion of first-tier beast essence. A first-tier beast? I narrowed my eyes. The outer area only had F-rank monsters. To find a first-tier beast, I would have to go deeper. At that moment, a deafening roar suddenly came from deep within the forest. A girl's scream followed. Help! The mutated ironhide rhinoceros has gone mad. My eyes lit up. The ironhide rhinoceros was a classic first-tier peak beast. Its thick skin and strong body made it the perfect material for Ming-He's evolution. As for saving people, I coldly smiled and stood up. 100 worker mosquitoes followed me like a black cloak. Not bad. The materials delivered themselves to me. Unlike the hot-blooded protagonists in stories, I didn't rush out to save the beauty. I quietly moved toward the source of the disturbance like a patient hunter. I intended to wait until the rhinoceros was exhausted and then harvest the final reward. Help! Somebody save me! The girl stumbled through the bushes. Her name was Lin Wan'er. She was the famous healing beauty of Tianlan Academy. Usually surrounded by admirers, she was now covered in tears and looked miserable. Dozens of meters behind her, an iron-hide rhinoceros the size of a tank was charging wildly. This first-tier peak beast was clearly in a state of extreme rage. Its dark red eyes burned with destruction. Lin Wan'er was in despair. Her summon, a cute light sprite, had already been crushed into meat paste by the rhinoceros 3 minutes ago. Now she could only hope for a miracle. The rhinoceros suddenly accelerated. The distance closed instantly. Lin Wan'er tripped and fell into a muddy pit full of rotten leaves. She turned around in terror. The sharp horn capable of piercing steel rapidly enlarged in her vision. In despair, she closed her eyes. 1 second. 2 seconds. The expected pain never arrived. Instead, a dense buzzing sound suddenly filled the air and drowned out the rhinoceros's roar. Lin Wan'er trembled as she opened her eyes. What she saw was something she would never forget. The rhinoceros had stopped less than 10 centimeters from her nose, as if it had hit an invisible wall. At some point, hundreds and thousands of mosquitoes had surrounded its head. The iron-hide rhinoceros let out a miserable scream. It frantically shook its head, trying to get rid of the insects. It slammed its horn into the ground. It rubbed against trees. It even rolled on the ground. Nothing worked. I stood on a nearby tree branch with my hands in my pockets, my expression as cold as ice. I looked like an aristocrat, watching a beast fight in an arena. First squad attacked the eyelids and soft tissues. Second squad blocked the nostrils and airway. Third squad advanced through the ear canal and entered the brain. I silently issued orders while rhythmically tapping the tree trunk. Under my command, the dark cloud displayed discipline like a real army. What are those things? Lin Wan'er sat on the ground in shock. She watched the once unstoppable beast convulse like a drowning victim. Less than a minute later, boom, the huge body of the iron-hide rhinoceros crashed to the ground. Dust flew everywhere. It wasn't completely dead yet. Its limbs still twitched, but there was no longer any light in its eyes. I jumped down from the tree. My black hooded jacket fluttered in the wind. I didn't even glance at Lin Wan'er. I walked directly toward the still twitching beast. Return. I raised my hand. The dark cloud instantly dispersed and then gathered back into a black and red river that gently circled around me. Every mosquito's abdomen was swollen and shining. Inside them was highly concentrated first-tier beast essence. At the center of the swarm, the mother body Minghe lay on the base of the rhinoceros's horn. Its body was undergoing a dramatic transformation. High-quality first-tier blood essence detected. Absorption complete. 100%. Evolution requirements met. Beginning racial evolution. A trace of fanaticism flashed in my eyes. Through our mental connection, I could clearly feel a violent surge of energy flowing back into my body. Crack, crack. The black and red shell covering Minghe's body began to break apart and peel away. A terrifying pressure slowly spread outward. Its body did not become much larger, only about one size bigger than before, roughly the size of a fist. However, its wings had changed into 4 wings. The blood-colored edges of those wings were as sharp as blades. Evolution successful. Name, Bloodwing Emperor Mosquito. Rank, first tier. New traits, sonic burst, high-frequency wing vibrations create sound waves capable of shattering an enemy's internal organs. Blood crystal armor, greatly increased defense, capable of resisting ordinary flames and physical attacks. Command aura. The maximum number of lower-ranked insects under control has increased to 1,000. Beautiful. I stretched out my hand. The Emperor Mosquito, which looked as if it had been carved from a ruby, gracefully landed on my palm. Only then did Lin Wan'er recover from her shock. She struggled to her feet and looked at my back, her eyes filled with complicated emotions and disbelief. Wang Ba Tian, is that really you? She recognized my worn-out school uniform. She also recognized the boy who was known throughout the school as a useless waste. I slowly turned around. My eyes swept over Lin Wan'er. There was no concern that usually followed saving someone, only the coldness of someone evaluating goods. I want the rhinoceros horn. I pointed at the corpse on the ground. The hide and meat are yours. Consider it payment for your silence. According to the Academy's unspoken rules, after saving a beauty, there should be gratitude, warm conversation, or at least fighting side by side. But this, if you don't want to die, keep your mouth shut. I took 2 steps forward. The smell of blood on my body made Lin Wan'er instinctively step back. If you dare tell anyone what you saw today, I paused. The Bloodwing Emperor Mosquito let out a sharp buzz and instantly stopped in front of Lin Wan'er's forehead. If you tell anyone that I have this many mosquitoes, I looked directly into her eyes. Then next time this needle will go into your brain. Lin Wan'er's face turned pale. She nodded desperately. I won't say anything. I didn't see anything. This rhinoceros was killed by you. All the spoils belong to you. I quickly cut off the rhinoceros horn. This thing could sell for a good price on the black market. It would be enough to repay part of my debt and buy a large amount of low-quality meat to feed the swarm. I'm leaving. I waved my hand. The mosquito army wrapped around me like a black cloak and disappeared into the depths of the forest. Only Lin Wan'er remained beside the enormous rhinoceros corpse. As she stared at the body on the ground, she suddenly realized a terrifying fact. The useless trash, recognized by the entire school, had just slaughtered a first-tier peak beast in less than a minute. The sky of Tianlan Academy was about to change.